Well, welcome to another episode with
The Modern Framily.
Today, we have an episode with just the moms, which is just so fun. Just to like get together and be able to talk. I feel like no matter how good of an example you had growing up or the books you've read, nothing truly prepares you for motherhood until you're in it. You kind of just learn as you go. And I feel like
can tell you either.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yes. Yes. So I feel like as time goes on, it's just a constant thing of just like learning and learning. But I would love, before we just jump into some questions just about motherhood, to kind of talk about some mom fails, maybe. Maybe not the ultimate, but like recently, like what is something that you've done that you're like, oh, probably shouldn't have done that again, or like definitely learning from this?
I feel like Charlotte always gives me good material. I'm always like questioning my motherhood after Charlotte does that.
I'll give a really short example. One day we were like loading up to get in the car to go somewhere, and I don't know if Carson was born yet, my second, but my son, who's now 4, I think he was probably like 2 at the time, I like look around the car and I see the lift, or what is it called? The lift gate, you know? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Opening. And then I just see Hayden holding on to the handle, like slowly rising up with the feet dangling. Like he got all the way off the ground, maybe like 3 feet. And I was like, oh boy, I'm glad he didn't let go.
Oh my
That was one of
God.
those moments.
That's funny.
I don't know if this would be considered a mom fail or not, but this is a great story. So now at this point in our house, we have top locks, right? So they're like these magnetic locks that go up above. So our children cannot unlock the door and exit as they please. And so when Worth was probably my oldest son, he was probably like 3 years old. And I got a call from my neighbor. She's one of my best friends. And she was like, hey, Brogan, what are y'all doing right now? And I was like, oh, Worth is taking a nap. And she goes, are you sure? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, because I see him in the bushes across the street.
Oh my God.
He was my little escape artist. So that was one of many stories. But yeah, future moms, make sure you top lock your doors.
Oh my gosh.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Word of advice.
I know. I've got one. So we were on a trip. I took my kids. I have 3 kids. I took them to Abilene to see my sister. And we got home past bedtime. It was like 8:30. My kids go to bed at 7:30. They were so tired. I was so tired. I was carrying all the stuff in myself and told my kids, okay, I need you to do this thing, this thing, this thing, okay? And Charlie said, my oldest, he said, I'll have to go to the bathroom. And I said, okay, that's the first thing you do. You go to the bathroom. He was like, yes, ma'am. So he walked upstairs, goes to his room. And I was like, that's not the bathroom. But I had a million other things to do. Then he comes in and said, I had an accident.
Oh no.
I'm like, what kind of accident? He was like, I pooped my pants.
Oh.
And I was so overwhelmed in that moment. I go, you did not just poop in your freaking pants.
This story's too good.
Yes. And then my 3-year-old daughter comes and rubs my back and she goes, Mommy, she has this adorable lisp.
Yes, she does.
Mommy, I'm so sorry. Charlie pooped in his freaking pants.
A quote for a lifetime.
I'm like, you can't say that. I shouldn't say that. You definitely shouldn't say that.
They're sponges.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a reminder like, oh, they're watching.
They're listening.
I'll say mine's like not anything too crazy, but this just happened the other day. For whatever reason, no matter if we're ready or not, we are always running out the door. Always. It's always a rush. It's chaos every single time we go anywhere. And JD and I were trying to like grab everything. He said, okay, I will go grab our daughter Ellery and take her to the car. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like making sure I have everything, whatever. I'm pretty sure we were going to church.
Always.
Yes,
it's
right. Yeah, it's always Sunday mornings. I'm like, what?
Literally true.
So as we're on our way, I'm like, wait, did you bring Ellery's shoes? I don't know why. I didn't even see her feet. And he was like, no, did you? And I was like, nope. And he's like, well, we're not turning around. So if you saw my daughter, she is loved and cared for. She has shoes. She was looking a little ratchet, but yeah, I was like, oh, okay, note to self, always make sure they have shoes. So
my mom fail happened day one of motherhood, and all these girls know about it because it was like what in the world. But I'm a nurse and I have all these friends that are moms, so I probably should have been more prepared for this. But when we went to the hospital,
oh, shame on you.
The only undergarments that I packed for my hospital stay after having my first daughter was this beautiful pair of lace thongs, thinking that would totally suffice, and it did not. And
let's just say it didn't.
I learned so quickly, and then I realized I had to wear their disgusting underwear at the hospital, and that was my first mom fail. But I remember texting y'all and be like, "What in the world?" There was
nobody told me.
It did not work. That was the very first mom fail.
Oh, that's so good.
We'll jump into a couple questions. One, I kind of was thinking about this week. I was watching some reality TV and a constant conversation throughout the season was with this couple that was talking about whether they actually wanted kids or not, because they felt, and this was from both, saying they felt like kids were going to take away from their dreams and their purpose. And so I thought that was so interesting, and definitely a conversation that's happening more and more right now, is just having kids, how that almost robs from your life versus is giving to your life. And so as we're at a table of moms right now, what would you say? How have you found your purpose, or why motherhood for you? Has it derailed your dreams? What has it done for you?
I want to say I was the mom that was totally I had a plan, I had a goal, but I also wanted kids. But what I found myself doing once I had kids was almost trying to cheat the system a little bit and still be able to do everything that I wanted to do, this whatever my destiny was, but still be able to say that I had kids. So when I say cheat the system, I mean I wanted all the childcare. I did not want to nurse. I wanted to say that I was a mom without I guess myself diving all into motherhood.
The sacrifices kind of.
Yeah, I did not want to make the sacrifices. And then was kind of hit with reality when you don't have the option sometimes. And so I think this is just me. I resisted motherhood so much in the first few years of it. And I think it was the moment that there wasn't a defining moment. It was more of just over time. I think as I relinquished that and just embraced it, that was when I actually started to like being a mother. And that's really hard to say because I love it now, with my whole heart. And it makes me I know I'm going to grieve this, these years. I can't look at y'all when I talk, I'm going to cry. But it has become one of my greatest loves. And it's because it's brought me closer to the Lord, but it's also just been such a beautiful picture of how the Lord loves me. And I've learned so much through motherhood, but I feel there was probably a year in my life where I was just you know what, Lord, here's where I am. I'm just going to do this. And I have 4 kids now, and I'm I'm not having another one. But I love it with my whole heart. And something we said on the bonus episode is what I wish I could go back and tell myself is, you are going to love this so much one day. Just embrace it.
Yes.
They're here, they're alive, they're with you for 18 years, and it's going to go by like that. Just do it. And once I started stop that wrestle, it's when I finally started loving motherhood.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A great word to describe it is a wrestle. I feel sometimes it can feel guilty even saying that, but I do think so many times that is what you experience in the first few years is a wrestle between what you did or what you want to do and where you're at now, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a mom in the world who could say, I can't wait to give up my free time, my Saturdays to sleep in or sleeping through the night. getting to take a bath whenever you want to,
Showers.
Yeah. Those little things, I don't think anybody really realizes it until you're in it, that you are giving up all of those things. And for me, when I had my first, it was a constant struggle, like you were saying, Lauren, of like wanting to be all in as a mom, but also feeling that struggle of like, who am I now? And do I have any passions or dreams or desires anymore? Or have I just lost myself in this? And is this forever? So once I had my daughter, Millie, my first two are 17 months apart. I feel like I had no choice but to just be all in, because it required all of me. And once that wrestle stopped, once I just, exactly what you were saying, just relinquished that control and decided like, okay, I'm going to channel all of those things that I used to love to do. I was a teacher before being a parent. I'm going to put all of me into being a mom. And that's when everything changed for me. And I didn't look at my kids like a burden anymore. And I hate to say that because it wasn't fair to my oldest, but he felt like a burden to me. And I never said that out loud. But once I let go of that and saw my kids as a blessing, even on so many hard days, I mean, we've been through a lot, but it's done a lot of good in me, and honestly just made me realize how selfish I was before having kids, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Another thing I'll say is you don't have to give up your dreams. You can still be a working mom. You can be a part-time, stay at home. Like a lot of us in this room have a career of some sort or have had a career or in between. And like I own a business and I'm still a present mom. And so just if you don't feel like in the beginning of motherhood you can handle that, that's okay. Wait till you get to that point where you're like, I have the capacity to take that on. But the most important thing is to be a mom and to be there for your kids, whether you're staying at home or working.
And I think like a good word is like redefining your dreams, not so much like
That's
giving
exactly
up.
what I was
It's
gonna
like
say.
your dreams are still your dreams. They just look different. And you can still, to your point, do so many different things. It's going to look different. And different is not bad. It's just different. You know?
Yeah, I think the idea of I have to give up on my dreams is a lie. And one, like certain dreams can pause and can wait, and that's okay. And there's a lot of beauty in that. But also, like you said, redefining, I was going to say shift. My dreams shifted when I became a mom. Like I didn't realize how desperately I wanted that to be so much of who I was. Not my identity necessarily, but like being a mom is my dream. And I'm getting to actively live it every day. And I've been through seasons. Blaze and I, this is my sister, Blaze sitting next to me, and we have been through seasons of being home full time with our babies. We've been in seasons where we owned a business and built it from the ground up for 6 years. We've been in a season of being called out of that and wondering kind of what you said, like, okay, now what? But it has allowed us to be so fully like where our feet are and doing exactly what we were called to do in this season. And there's not like these outside distractions. And I realize I feel more fulfilled than I've ever felt. And there's so much joy in just finally like not resisting, like Lauren said, that calling that he has for you. And I think that too, there's so much to say about I am better now because of things that have been stripped of me. And like, there's sin and stuff that's ugly within me that like I would have never seen if they weren't triggered and pressed on when I became a mom. Like I've had conversations with all the women in this room about how like, you know, you find yourself like getting upset or getting irritated or angry and you're like, I'm not an angry person or whatever. And it's like, no, that's always been there. They're not making you or causing you to be that way, but God is so gracious to put us in this space to go, now I'm going to show you some of the ugliness that's inside because you're a mom now and you're getting triggered in ways you've never been before so that I can like get that out and I can prune you and refine you in that way. And like the truth that like whoever loses their life will find it. And I feel like that's so much of like what motherhood is. Like we do have to sacrifice. It's not like we're, sitting here telling people like, no, it's all good and butterflies and, rainbows, and you just do it and put a smile on and you don't have to give anything up. No, actually you have to give up a lot.
Yeah.
But it's actually like you realize that doing that actually is more fulfilling than some of your wildest dreams were in the beginning.
Yeah. And I think I have a 1.5-year-old. And so I've had to learn this recently. I think that I really was met with the reality of how I talk about this in the bonus episode too, but how I measure my life, what I consider success was not necessarily what God had for me and how he measured success for me. And I just think the word legacy comes to mind a lot, that I want to I want to live a legacy and leave a legacy to my kids, about to have another one. And I just feel like I was just measuring a lot of my success in a way that I'm like, at the end of the day, am I still leaving a legacy for my kids? And even more so, it's like more than anything else I will say and do, just being mom, that is the ultimate legacy to live. And if I'm pointing them to Jesus and creating people of character, it's like, regardless of what else I would put in my basket as this is what I would do, this is what I would say, this is what I would consider successful, or what I had for myself, is nothing compared to the legacy that I get to, leave for them. And just with the mindset of hey, I might not ever accomplish my dreams, but one day, my kids might accomplish dreams that I wanted to fulfill one day. And it wasn't about me. It was more of I laid down my life so that they could do what I might have wanted to do and didn't get to do. That is so fulfilling to me. It's not about me. It gets to be about them. So that's kind of been a recent. This has been a recent wrestle for me, and just hearing this, it's it makes you feel okay, this is, every mom goes through this.
Yes,
and I think it comes in different ways. Whether you just learn it when you become a mom, or years later, it's a constant wrestle still, by not putting your identity in just, oh, I'm just a mom. No, it goes so much more. You're leaving a legacy for those to come,
I'm going to go a little bit of a different way here. I echo everything that everyone's said, and I obviously am in a different season than a lot of us, which I'll get to that. But I want to start off by saying that I always wanted to be a mom. I desired that since I was little. And I became a mom at 22. And but I do feel and know with confidence that God doesn't call every woman out there to motherhood, and that's okay. I think it's just a matter of really getting to the root of why, if you are the one that's saying I don't want to be a mom, or I don't want kids, really just digging and leaning into that, and asking and praying what's the root of that? Why don't you want to be a mom, or why don't you want kids? Because I think it goes different for everybody. And like I said, God doesn't call everybody to it, and that is okay. But I also know people that have said that they didn't want kids, and then God gifted them, with a baby, and it turned out to be the best thing that they, ever happened to them. And with me, I think that our sinful nature for so many of us, it's that we have such a hard time being present. We're constantly either looking forward or looking backward, and rather than being where our feet are. And I just remember especially becoming a mom so young, yes, I wanted it, but I really struggled with wanting to fast forward. Okay, if I could just get to them to walking, or if I could just get them to do this, or then you kind of are at a point where you're so drained that you're okay, I just need them to be in school for a few days. And now I'm at this point where I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're in school full time, and I am pregnant. So I do get to do this again, and I have a totally different perspective. But I rushed it. I rushed them getting to school, because I was tired, and I wanted to be able to do things for myself, and I wanted to be able to work and do our business. And because it is hard and we're all selfish. Like we just are. And motherhood like strips you and prunes you in ways that like nothing else can. But I feel like now I just have this totally different perspective of like, now that I've rushed it and like wanted them to be in school and they are in school full time, like, look at me now. Like now I'm wanting to do it all over again. Yeah. And now I'm pregnant again. And I never thought that I would be, but like, it really is just like, you realize, like you think, okay, they're going to go to school and I can do all these things and like find myself again. And I remember like sitting down with the girls being like, now that they're in school, I'm trying to find myself. Like I want them with me, and you don't realize, I mean, you do, but you don't realize like how much joy and fulfillment and purpose they bring to your every single day life until it's not right there in front of you. And so, anyway, yeah, it's just like from a different perspective because I am out of it and now I get to do it again.
Yeah,
so
to do it again. It's good. Yeah. Well, speaking of doing it again, I'm about to give birth in like 3 weeks. Today. Honestly, my water could break right now. No, I'm kidding. And it's so interesting because this time around, I'm thinking more about how like postpartum stuff, like how am I going to look postpartum? How's my body going to go back? Is it going to go back? Am I going to look different? I didn't really think about that with my first, but this time I'm finding myself thinking about it more and more. And so I think that's just a great conversation because I feel like not a lot of times people talk about just all the changes, but especially to your body, how you view yourself. You know, everyone like, you go on Facebook, you see pictures from years ago and you're like, dang, that's what I looked like, you know? And it's always Facebook with the memories. So it gets you.
You're
but
like, wow, I looked so well rested.
well put together.
Yeah, it's not skinny. It's, wow, it looks so alive.
Like, wow, my hair was brushed. So what would you say, like, for you guys or for somebody that is like me going into that season, or it's not just even postpartum, it's sometimes years and years and years after struggling with just like how they look like or what they look like, how they view themselves. What would you say to those that are struggling with that?
I'm going to say something because I'm living it right now. My daughter is, my fourth is 2.5 months old. And so I'm like in the thick of postpartum. And I actually text all these women about this all the time. But it is like, it's so hard when you're living it. But I now have a perspective because I've done it 4 times now. And, you know, each time you never go fully back. You're different after your mother in so many ways. But you do reach a point where you don't feel like this. You know what I mean? But anyways, also you're like aware of it now. It's probably why you're thinking about it. You've done it. And I think going into it, you're like, oh, like now you're so aware of it. And so you're probably thinking about it more. But I know all of us in this room, we're very blessed to be married to really good men who love us for not what we look like and not our bodies, but they love us for who we are. But that is hard. Like that's, I'm not going to be like, well, we're married to good men, so it's fine. It's still really hard.
Yeah.
Like
you're your own worst critic too.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to bed thinking, that's why I have to remind myself too of like, nobody's going to bed at night thinking about like your postpartum journey.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like they're thinking about their own postpartum
thinking about
journey.
sitting here like, no, I'm just
We love you, Britt. Shout out, Britt. You have a great neck, though.
Make that for me. Oh my God. No, he's actually told me that before. He's like, I'm not thinking about that. It's actually, I'm also going to touch on this. Like, yes, our men are wonderful. All men are wonderful. They're also like really gross and they are so primitive. And I feel like they think we're so beautiful.
They're really gross.
Like, we've even had Zach's. I think we can talk about this stuff, but like even when you're pregnant, they like love it.
It's like a fetish, kind of weird.
Like, I mean, like they love all of it, and it's just like, are you sure? And I'm just gonna choose to believe him. Basically.
I would love to hear them all answer this question.
Seriously,
I don't know if I would gross about it though. Yes, but anywho, I've kind of just had to like press that. Like
But I think right now too, everything that makes it so much harder is the way social media is.
Yeah.
Like even whenever compared to like when I was pregnant with Stone, which he's 9 now, like there was some Instagram, you know, but like it wasn't what it is now. There's definitely not TikTok, and it's everywhere. You cannot escape it. It's right in front of your face unless you are totally off like the apps. It's right there, and it's a constant game of comparison, and comparison is obviously the thief of joy. And it's hard not to get wrapped up in it. Like me being pregnant even, I'm like, dang, that girl looks really good pregnant, or she's been able to work out every day and I haven't. Like it's so easy to compare your own journey, but at the same time, like the girls that are not talking about their weight all the time and not talking about fitness all the time and act confident and seem confident in their bodies, I'm like, that's what I want to be like. Wait, I would rather have their body with their confidence and their view of themselves way over somebody who has a 6-pack, 6 months postpartum, and are killing themselves in the gym. Like, it's so much deeper than that. But I do think that it is so much harder being pregnant and postpartum with what is in front of our faces. And so I would just encourage you, and I'm also going to encourage myself, that if it is something that you're struggling with, like pull away from it. Like just get it out of sight, out of mind, and just like focus on yourself and be healthy. And it go like, no, nothing's ever really fully the same, but like it just takes time. You know what I mean?
I feel like Brooke would have a lot to say on this, just because like you understand the internals of what's happening in our bodies.
She
and
really does feel like a living.
Yes. I've had a lot of thoughts about this. And like the more people I talk to, the more women I'm around who have babies. And sweet Lauren is like ready to get back into things. And I'm like, slow down. Like your body has gone through so much. And the more you push it, the harder it's going to be to get it back to, or get it to where you want it to be. You just need time. And so it's like even if you get that approval at the 6-week appointment, don't just like start hitting the gym every day for the next, however long. Yes, exercise is so good, but it's also, if you are not taking care of your body and resting and relaxing and just enjoying motherhood, it's going to add more stress to your life, and it's actually going to do more harm than good. And like, so I'm a dietitian. From like a nutrition perspective, like don't cut the calories, especially if you're trying to breastfeed. Like if that's a journey you want to go on, like nourish your body and be okay with eating fat and carbs and all of the food that is going to support life and support you. And it just takes time, and you can't rush time. It's just going to be there and it's going to happen. But like our bodies are so beautiful in what it can do. And if you give it the time that it needs and the love and the support, like your body knows what you're telling it. Like if you are just sitting in like anger towards yourself, like your body feels that, and it actually physically does things that like responds, and it's actually the opposite of what you want it to do. But if you show it grace and love and support it and treat it like your child, like you just gave birth to and brought into this world, and you're going to love and nourish and do all the things for he or she, and then do that to yourself, because you are just as valuable as the baby you brought into the world. And they're going to see that. Like, if you have older kids and they see you like skipping meals or just like not treating yourself like you should be treated, then they're going to notice those things and pick up on those things.
So much of what I was thinking like this whole time is about my daughter. Because first of all, we hear it all the time, but truly like what you speak to yourself is so powerful. And if you're struggling to tell yourself good truths about what you've done and what your body's accomplished, and that you should give yourself grace, surround yourself with people that will do it for you. Because when I forget the truth, then I have people that will speak it directly into me. We get to all remind each other, like, give yourself grace. You need time. But if I put myself in the shoes of, would I want my daughter to speak to herself the way that I speak to myself? It will snap you back into reality really quick.
That's good.
I was also going to say, and not to make it like too deep, but I'm going to be like super honest really quick. Before I had babies and like, the body that I had before, I had hair extensions, I had implants, I had teeth whitening, fake eyelashes, fake tan, everything. And I looked exactly how I wanted to look in that moment. But, if we're talking about like refinement, I mean, I'm a different human on the inside than I was when I look back at that girl. But I don't of course I want to, feel confident. And I'm not just saying this, like telling myself this. I really am genuinely so much happier than I was when I look at that girl. It makes me like kind of sad that, so I don't know. I want to feel healthy and strong? And of course, but I don't want to go back there. With that girl. And I'm like, that's just not me anymore.
Yeah. Like skinny doesn't equal just like happiness or being happier or anything.
Fighting that to like diet pills on every diet. Like it's so sad.
And I think just like birth is so common that I think we forget that like your body's going through something very like heavy, like traumatic a lot of times. And so it's like for you to measure yourself from years and years ago before you even experience that, it's like your body's been through a lot. And like to like have the mind shift more of like, okay, I'm like proud of my body and what it's done versus this is how I used to look. And I was better
We're all
that way.
getting older anyway.
Yeah.
That emotion is true. We're all getting older.
I heard something or read something recently, and she was like, she talked about like women being like, or being pregnant and having kids is like a superpower, and like what time and media and like, opinions have changed towards women having kids. And I feel like there's this like expectation that you should like shame yourself for like, growing a child and gaining weight and like having to go through these processes and like, and then we expect, okay, I got to go back to like what I used to be rather than just accepting how beautiful and awesome. Like we do so much in the whole span of just pregnancy. And then for the moms that breastfeed or who are able to, and just like continue down that road. I mean, even if you aren't able to breastfeed either, like it's so much sacrifice and you're going through so much already. And so just look at it as a superpower and like not something to shame yourself for.
Yeah. I think also, this is just a practical, maybe superficial, but I think also finding something like that makes you like the way that you look, like getting an outfit or something. I think sometimes if you're trying to squeeze back into something, it makes you feel worse, and it's even more so a reminder. So like, obviously I know everyone can't like ball out and go like on a shopping spree, but getting something like, man, I like the way that my body now looks.
Like get some postpartum like clothes, like jeans or shorts or whatever that fit you. Cause it's like, as soon as you try to put your jeans on pre-pregnancy, you're just like,
why do we do that to
always the jeans.
I brought an outfit I hadn't worn before. Since before I was pregnant, I brought on a trip without trying it on. I put on, I was like, no, I'm not good.
That's so relatable. But in the same vein of like having a baby soon, something that honestly, I'm going to be really honest, I cried about this yesterday. Just having kids with multiples, which everyone here has, just that transition from 1 to 2, or even just adding to your family, like 2 to 3, 3 to 4, or even just you might be just welcoming a baby into your household and just be married. I think just the transition of, okay, something's going to be different in our household. And I've really struggled with this of like almost feeling like a guilt or something, like something's going to change. Not my love for her for sure, but I just feel like she's going to have less of me, which to a certain extent she is. But that doesn't necessarily mean that like it's going to be bad moving forward, or there's going to be like a resentful relationship growing up or anything like that. It can just feel like a little bit of nervousness, like feeling spread thin, or like a guilt of being spread thin in the future. So what would you say to people like me that are welcoming a baby or adding to their family, how that's like gone for y'all?
Yeah, I think every mom wonders when you're going from 1 to 2, am I going to be able to love this next child as much as I love my first? Like, how am I going to find that space in my heart to do that? I will say that goes away so fast. As soon as that baby is born, your heart expands and you're able to show them just as much love.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's amazing. God gives you the amount of grace and capacity that you need to love the amount of
Yes.
children that you have.
Yes.
And something I will say, because I worried about that with my oldest, not being able to give him all of me because he was used to having all of my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say two things about this. Giving him a sibling
Yep.
is the greatest gift God could have ever given him.
Yep.
They are best friends. They are playmates. And also, he needed to have less of me because that teaches him that he's got to die to himself a little bit.
Amen. Yes.
So with every child you have, I have 3 now, I feel like they all have to die to themselves a little bit. Like, no, I don't get everything I want. I don't get all of mom's attention. I can't get an answer right away. I'm going to have to learn patience. I'm going to have to learn grace for my siblings and for my mom and dad. And so, yeah, that's what I would say to that is don't be scared. Yes, it's different. I feel like there are a couple of weeks where there is a transition period where you're like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. Our life looks different now. We have another one. And I will say that was much easier with my third. I think you just know more of what to expect and you know it's a beautiful thing and that you don't have to feel sad for your other kids because they're so excited. What I will say also is sometimes kids will go through a period of a couple of weeks where they have to come to that realization themselves of like, hey, the world doesn't revolve around me anymore and I have to share mom. And so if behaviors start to take a turn, that's normal and it's temporary. Yeah. And so I will say, like, for your daughter, if Ellery has a hard time, it's not forever. Yeah. She's just getting used to it. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be the best thing that you could ever do for her.
It is so cool to sit here because one, you took every single point I had in my head out of my mouth, but it's such a testament to like how closely we've all done life together. Yeah. Like these are conversations that we have constantly talked about over and over and over again because nothing is off the table. It's like, I'm vulnerable in this area. I'm worried about this. Like, help me through it. How do I navigate it? And when you were talking about dying to self, that was one of the things that when I was going from 1 to 2, I have a friend who has 5 children. And I was asking her, like, at what point did you think I'm finished or I should stop or whatever? And she said, one of the most beautiful parts of why we continue to add to our family is that we have watched it firsthand, watched our kids, our older kids, die to themselves more and more with each child that we bring into our family. And in the most beautiful way. I mean, when you think about the fact that like you have to teach them everything. You have to teach Ellery how to brush her teeth, how to hold a fork, how to stand, how to walk, how to speak, you're also teaching her how to die to herself. You are teaching her how to sacrifice and surrender and like know that she has to think of others more significant than herself. And it starts so young whenever you bring new children into your family. Yeah. And like Addie said, I'll never forget when my oldest he was around 3 and my middle child was like around 1 and she had just started like walking and I looked over from the kitchen table. It's going to make me cry. I looked over from the kitchen table and they were chasing each other around the island. And I literally had the thought of, if I never provide or give her and him anything else, that is the best gift I'll ever give them. And so like, I just can't wait for Ellery to have a baby brother. And she's also going to grow into these pieces of her that God designed that like she would never tap into if she didn't get the opportunity to lead a sibling and to be the oldest. And so it's going to be so cool to watch. And you will sit there one day and have that same experience of, oh my goodness, we made it to this point and now they're best friends. And I get to watch them do that for the rest of their life. And so it's so cool.
Oh, Brogan, about to get me.
Sorry.
Get me.
You'll find pretty quickly I'm the crier of the group, so it's going to always happen.
Can I add a little?
Yeah.
I would say I'm going to include a little personal experience. I feel like from 1 to 2 was maybe like the harder jump for me. And I feel like I needed to maybe hear that from other people too, to know that I wasn't alone. And my second, she was harder than my first. And at the time he was 2, which is, just a hard age. And so there was a lot of times where it was just like overwhelming and hard and lots of baby wearing and just trying to figure out, how do I do both of this at the same time? And I'll say, like, it took a while for me personally to grow into that and figure things out, because, you go through the baby stage and then the crawling stage, and that's a mess. And, there are so many beautiful moments, and I don't want to take away anything, but I will say that 1 to 2 was hard for me. And I'm now at the point where I have a 4 and a 2-year-old, and they're best friends, and they're chasing each other around, and it's so sweet. And you're like, this is what we endure for. And like, you wait for these moments where they just, become best friends. But I would say that first year was so hard for me. And it all depends on the baby and your toddler and how they grow into that. And I don't know, it might be different with Ellery since she's a girl, and having a boy, I don't know. But
but you had to get there. I mean, it's just a testament to like their really incredible things to look forward to. It doesn't mean there's not a grind or difficult on the way there sometimes.
I think with each pregnancy too, though, Jenna, with me at least towards the end, the enemy definitely crept in, and like I experienced a lot of fear with this with each one. So that's not abnormal. I don't think y'all said everything that I think I could say. It also just depends on the baby, like you said. Like I had 2 girls first, so like our jumps were a little. And all my friends, sweet boy. It's just different. And so, I think you're going to do great.
Thank you. You will, for sure.
Thanks. Hey, I want to say 2 boys, though, back to back, not for the week.
No, it's not. I believe it. Are you the only one with 2 boys back to back?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. She's got the oldest of the crew.
I'm getting my girl.
Yes. Well, it's so good and super encouraging to me, and I know to others. I as we wrap up, what would you guys say is your like last tidbit to just a young mom or a mom that feels just maybe exhausted or purposeless right now? Like, what would you leave everyone with?
I feel like my 2 things that really just like keep coming up in my mind are to 1, not rush it. Like, it does go, like the nights and the days really are long, but the years are so short. And I used to like not understand that, and now I really get it. Like, just don't rush it. Just be present as much as you can. And then I had one more, and I can't think of what it is, but to just not compare. Don't compare your journey. It's so easy to do that, but there's going to be things, even with people that are really close to you, there's going to be things that look different for you, that you do differently, but God chose you specifically for your baby. Nobody else can parent that child the way that you can. And I think like just remembering that is very, very important.
That's good.
I think for me in the hard moments, something when I was praying one day, my oldest was hard to say the least. And something that always came to my mind was, it won't always be this way and won't always feel this way in a good way. And now I'm on the other side of that. And I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that I listened to that and just clung to those words of like, this is worth it. The work that you're doing right now that seems fruitless will produce fruit one day. And you have to just maintain your consistency, because one day you'll see the fruits of your labor.
That's kind of what I was going to say too. Just like in the mundane, repetitious things of life, like that really does build character, and it can feel like, this is all for nothing, or not for nothing, but it can feel just like this is just either, it's just repetitious. It can feel like Groundhog's Day, just doing things over and over again, but knowing that you are been given just like the gift of raising a humans. And that's something that's just so huge. And not only that, but like inviting God into the mundane days, the days that you're like, okay, this feels just like boring, ordinary, whatever you want to call it. when you invite God into it, it's cool, like the little sweet moments that you get to see his hand into it. And so it is just a good reminder for like in the mundane is like where character and like you really do get to stop and see like God's hand in even the little moments, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of little moments, like I write down little things that my children say just because I don't want to forget it. Mm-hmm. I was reading through it the other day, and I have little tiny moments like this. They're not like groundbreaking, but I write them down because they strike something in me, and it's just a little glimpse of God. But I read where Charlotte was in the back seat, and I looked back there, and she was looking out her window with a smile on her face. And I asked them sometimes, like, what are you thinking about right now? Like, don't think about it, just say it. So I asked her, and she said, oh, just that I love my life, and I love that I get to spend it with you. It was really simple, but it was just a moment where I was like, man, like, I'm forming someone's life. Like, we're doing, like, everything else said, like, we're doing big work.
Yes.
And that is just so, like, impactful. And so when I heard her say that, I was like, she loves her life. Like, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, if I could tell a young mom, like I said earlier, just embrace it. Like, you're here. You might as well embrace it. But it's just so much more life-giving when you choose to and just embrace it.
Yeah. I'll add to that. I feel like kind of going back to the first question a little bit, if you don't have kids and are considering it and trying to outweigh like, pros and cons, like motherhood isn't an easy job, but it's rewarding and sweet and you will not regret it. And like kids add to your life, they don't take from it. And you get to experience so much more that life has to offer by seeing life through the eyes of kids and being reminded of God's grace through them and the way that he refines you and shows you like more of himself and, the brokenness in our hearts too. So I'll say, yes, kids add to your life and just stop and slow down and like embrace those mundane moments because when you see how sweet it, like even in the chaos, like motherhood is chaotic for sure, but like when you just look at your kids and you get to see the life in them, like it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. I have a few, doesn't surprise anyone. First and foremost, I would say pray. And I honestly wish I did it more, but pray all the time. Pray over them, pray for them, pray out loud, pray when, let them see you live life the way that you want them to do one day. Like it is caught, not taught. And when you are disciplining them, teach them how to sit there and confess out loud with you and then teach them about the grace that's offered to them when they make a mistake and remind them of truth and then pray with them. Pray when you're having a hard day and you like get out the door and there's been chaos and you raise your voice or you got frustrated and you wish you wouldn't have, like, let them hear you out loud in the car in your drive. Like, pray constantly. And not only is it going to teach them, but like you need it. Like if we do not invite the Holy Spirit in to equip us, we cannot do this job. Which leads me to my second point of you are doing kingdom work. For every mom that is out there that has felt like, man, I don't know if I have a purpose anymore, or what am I good at, or where is God calling me, or what's next, or what am I producing? Like I wake up and I do the same thing every day and I change diapers and I wipe heinies and I do this. And it's like, we are literally raising souls. And when you sit there and you remember that, it's like, that is all worth the hard and the sacrifice and the struggle. And it will bring you back to this truth of even if he calls me to nothing else after this or within this, like it is the most beautiful work that I could be doing. So yeah, I would say pray and I would say remind yourself the truth that you're doing kingdom work. So
yeah, so good. Well, thank you, ladies, and thank you all for tuning in with us. We will see you next time.
Bye. Love y'all.